Hello, Kate with Suna. I'd like to explain a little bit about the basics of value chart, which is this indicator. In the categories of indicator, it would fall under the overbought, oversold indicators, and it is designed to be used for entering trades. In other words, timing your trades. Where traders get in trouble is that they want to determine all their decisions or gain all their information about the market with this indicator all by itself, and it wasn't designed to do all of that. It was just specifically designed to give you high probability entries with a trend, and in other words, you would need to have another way of determining what the trend is and the strength of the trend, or the momentum of the trend. So those two would be key, and then the value chart would help you enter, or would help you to get in on high probability entries. This is the zero line. These two lines, the area between them or above them would be considered the value area. Above 8 would be pretty overbought, and between these two lines, it's the value area, and beyond it would be pretty oversold. This is a -4 reading and -8, +4, +8. The reason the bars turn white, it's designed so when it goes beyond the 8 levels on either side, it would turn white, because these would be the strongest signals. So that's the basics of value chart. Now, how do you determine when to buy within the value area and when to buy when it goes beyond the 8? And that really depends on the momentum of the trend. So step 1 would be you would need a way to determine the trend. Step 2 would be you would need a way to determine the momentum of the trend, or the strength of the trend. Once you do that, then you can answer where your entries would be. So if the momentum of the trend is strong, then you can buy pullbacks, even shallow pullbacks, within the value area. If the momentum is weak, or if the momentum is strong and it's losing strength, then wait for deeper pullbacks. This would be a shallow pullback. Wait for deeper pullbacks. And if the momentum is telling you, if you are noticing the momentum is completely dying, losing its momentum, then wait for the really deep pullbacks beyond 8. The same thing would be true if the market is selling off. You would do the same thing up here. Now notice when I mentioned earlier, I said if you don't get the trend right, this indicator is not going to do much for you. In fact, it'll get you in trouble, and that's where a lot of traders make their mistake. Notice this is a really deep overbought area, but notice how nothing, if you would have got in here, you would have gotten stopped out. Okay, even if you had gotten, you wouldn't have made any money even if you used a really wide stop. Same thing with here, same thing with here, here, pretty much everywhere except I think there was one, yeah, this area here. The reason for it is, as I said earlier, you would be counter trending here, since the market is trending strongly upwards with a lot of momentum. And what is the definition of momentum? The definition of momentum in most indicators is take the close of the current bar and measure it against the close of the prior bars. The distance between that area is calculated to give you momentum. So simply put, momentum, just by looking at the bars, you can see high momentum here and you can see low momentum in this area. High momentum, and then notice this whole area, how price is really not, there's not much of a spread between the close compared to prior closes. Momentum is dying, and then it gains here, and then we get a retrace. So an indicator that measures momentum would really be doing that for you, so you don't have to kind of get really focused on price and not be able to watch your other indicators. So that's the basics of value chart. And I think I made the point fairly clearly that you do need a way to determine the trend and the momentum of the trend to be able to determine which one of these signals you buy. You can also use it as reversal signals, and as reversal signals, obviously these would all be counter trend trades. So what would be a reversal? Reversals generally you'd want to have key support levels, and if you're not used to using key support and resistance levels, then I would suggest that first you master that area before you start wanting to take any reversal trades. Uh, Another way of trading reversals would be via lower high or higher lows. Okay, the first ones. So those would be another way of doing reversals that are a little bit safer. Now, other indicators you can use in conjunction with the value chart to help you. If you want a quick and dirty way, quick, dirty, and inexpensive way of doing it would be using the ultimate bands. In the ultimate band video, this is basically a volume weighted average with the standard deviation bands. In the UB video, I pretty much explain how to determine momentum and trend just by using this band system. It's not, it does take a little bit of practice, and you do have to pay attention to price at the same time too, but generally when price is trading outside of the first bands, the trend is pretty strong. So as it's doing that from this point on, as you can see, okay, pretty much you have a trade here. I don't think you'd get out that quickly, so this is not really a trade here, okay, because you'd already be long. This is another trade which would have worked out just fine. Your stop would be down here, you wouldn't have gotten hit. And then this is the only area, this shallow pullback, and then you have this deeper pullback that works out great. The reason this shallow pullback didn't work is because of the momentum dying in this price rise here. We couldn't even rise to touch the second standard bands, and that's why you need a momentum indicator, unless you can tell by just looking at price. That's the importance of it, so you can determine where you buy your pullbacks. You want a deep pullback within the value area or a shallow one, and you need to be able to answer the question of momentum and momentum strength. So the other way would be, as your trend indicator, you can use the SDI indicators, the SDI1 and SDI2. That's one way of doing it. You can use the cumulative delta. That would really give you a good idea about momentum. Those are a couple of things that I can think of off the top of my head. You can use tick trend, volume breadth. I don't know what instruments you'd be, because tick and volume breadth would really just be for the stock indexes. So if you're trading other type of futures, then you would want to just stick with the cumulative delta and delta weight and SDIs in conjunction with this. So that's pretty much the value charts, folks. If I did leave anything else, because I'm extremely tired, been very busy, so I probably stumbled a couple of times, and hopefully you'll excuse me. But if I left something out and you guys have questions, just send me an email. Thanks for watching.